Sensational for Cincinnati. Mitch Hildebrand, the hero, and the underdogs have prevailed once again.
I would like to present the USL Regular Season Championship to FC Cincinnati. Congratulations to the players, the staff, and most importantly the fans on a record-breaking season. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for your regular season champions, FC Cincinnati.
In a foot race, Cincinnati plays this across. Vasquez with the finish. Brandon Vasquez gives Cincinnati the 2-1 lead. A late breakdown by Red Bull.
Well, Dylan Nealis gets beaten, and nobody covers the streaking run. Unbelievable.
Barlow got under that. Oh! What a goal for FC Cincinnati! You couldn't dream that any better. Goal of the tournament. Maybe the history of the tournament. Alvaro Barlow makes it 2-0.
They have done it. Cincinnati, your 2023 Supporters Shield winners. A first trophy in their MLS era, and now they celebrate. Top of the Supporters Shield race since May. They never look back. And now a piece of silverware to show for it.
And they've gone for the long-range efforts. My word! That is spectacular! That is a goal to savour for a lifetime! An I was there type goal! Look at Orishano with an iconic strike at TQL Stadium.
CF Montreal just go to sleep when the ball goes. His whistle dead, and Orishano just takes a peek, looks up, and doesn't even need to touch the ball. And how about this technique? Just absolutely perfect.
Lifted into the penalty area. That's Bauer, and that's Will. That's saved, and that's Surridge, and he still saves it on the line. Look at 60 seconds for Roman Celentano.
A double save, and he knows everything about it as well. First the punch, but then he gets back to his line. That is sensational, because he goes low for that first one, but look at him get up again.
Rajano gets the cross away. Bicycle kick! Wow! A top-class finish for Kévin Denkey!
The Flying Lion says,
boys, hell is real.
2023 Supporter Shield champs.
So glad that I can be back with people who know that it's a Flying Lion.
It shows how much we all love this club.
Yeah, just a fan of the sport, you know.
It's definitely tougher to be an academy player than it is a pro.
In this club, you don't play just for the club. You play for the club. I'm here for the fans.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome back, everyone. Another live edition of the Flying Lion podcast, our 2026 FC Cincinnati season preview. We're going to break it all down for you guys, tell you everything you need to know for this season. It's kind of crazy that it's already here. Preseason flew by, but we're going to roll into it. First part of the episode, we'll touch on the final two preseason matches that we saw. We'll break down the Seven Hills kit, which if you're watching live, I'm rocking tonight. So we'll give you our review of that. And if you're listening, we'll break that down via audio as well. Second part of the episode, we're going to hit all of our award predictions for the season, our competition predictions. And then we do have matches. We're back. Concacaf Champions Cup, first game midweek, and then our Saturday match against Atlanta. So, Sam, we got a lot to cover tonight, but how we doing?
Doing good. Yeah, we do have a lot to cover. I know it could have been shorter, but we just have so much to talk about. Like you said, season preview and just previous preseason matches that we kind of just want to touch on a little bit. And who can forget that kit? I mean, Ryan's rocking it tonight. Ryan, I mean, looking good in person, right? I mean, everything about it. We'll touch on it, give our thoughts, what the community has kind of said, what we've seen. But yeah, I can't wait this week, baby. This is back.
Yeah, we're back. We got a chance, it's real to go and win some trophies. That realization and that, coming to fruition, this season starting and we're going to make it happen. So preseason match 4 and 5 will kind of quickly break down here. FCC did play Brooklyn FC and then Orlando City. So in the first one, a little bit of a rotated squad. This was earlier, I believe, on Tuesday of this past week. Sam, what did we see in the lineup against Brooklyn?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're playing, your second USL squad at this point, and so kind of what we thought was it was going to be a rotated squad. So you get Brian Anunga, you get Chirila, which was that Stefan or was that Andre?
I believe it was Stefan Chirila.
Yeah, I thought so because he was up top, and then Mboma Dem, you had Nick Haglin, Jabari, Steven Jimenez, Lajar, Evan Loro, Obi, and then Alvis and Dado kind of round that out as far as the starting lineup against them. So once again, you saw some rotation, which was nice. You get some guys that may not have, played together at that point, and you get a good result from it as well.
Yeah, we ended up winning 2-0. Dado drew a PK and scored. That was the big moment in that one. Then Chirila later on gets a goal as well. So we finally got a game with multiple goals, which was nice. So takeaways, at least for that one, for me, a nice mixture there. A couple of starters kind of mixed in with some, backups. But good to see us take care of business against the team that we should. As we move on to the second one, Orlando City, a little bit more of what we were kind of expecting and what we're going to be seeing to start the season. So we had Barlow, Buka, Salentano, Denkey. We had Ender, Evander, Flores, Giddy, Hadebe, Robinson, and Smith for this one. So again, a lot of the mainstream starters there, maybe a few guys that are rotational. But in this one, we had a lead at the beginning, Sam. We had a Denkey goal from what we heard and what we finally saw. Evander and Denkey are finally connecting.
Yeah, that was nice to hear. Obviously Evander's name hasn't been, out there a lot this preseason. Ryan noted that, the last couple episodes, and it was nice to see that, hey, now, he's connecting with Denkey. That's exactly what we want to hear more of, especially, getting, down to the wire here about to start the season. So it was very nice to see that. But then as you have on here, like kind of fell off the wheels fell off for the defense there, after that.
Yeah, we gave up 3 in a row, and it was like right out of halftime, like within 5 minutes. I don't think Carter had enough time to kind of tweet it out and put out exactly what happened.
It was literally just like goal, right? It was like,
yeah, I mean, so a lot of what we heard was it was just like passes that were errant, or, on one of them, Roman slips and it led to an easy goal. And then Barlow gets one late. So it ends up being 3-2. We lose that. All in all, as we look at the takeaways of these two games, touched on the first one. The second one for me is, it is concerning that when we give up a goal, it's like a snowball effect. We saw it in the playoffs. It almost seems like the floodgates open when this team, concedes. And we see it in this one against an Orlando team that I think is going to be pretty solid this season. But it is interesting to see this happen with a lot of our normal guys too in the back line, at that point. So a little bit concerned about that, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, anytime you concede 3 goals in a row right out of halftime, I would say it's a little concerning, to say the least. But yeah, I mean, at least, we showed some fight there, towards the end. Barlow gets, the late goal. So, yeah, I mean, it's a preseason game all in all, right? You're not going to put too much pressure on it, but happy that they at least showed some resiliency, which couldn't say the same for, the match against Miami that left, bad taste in our mouths from the playoffs.
And this is all preseason. I mean, that's at the bottom, the end of the day, I should say. That's really what it is. It's preseason, so it doesn't really matter. Pat Noonan obviously had some kind of choice words about what happened. What did we hear from him?
Yeah, so obviously, I don't think he came out with a YouTube clip like they normally do for press conferences, but we did hear from him via Carter Chapley's article. And so he kind of talked on the physical progress that he saw from the players, which, you can see that, right? Or at least hear about it. There's a lot of guys that have been injured in the past that are, now healthy and with the squad. So, from his perspective, the physical is there. It's probably the most we've gotten out of this preseason, which is nice. As far as how many guys have gotten 90 minutes. So he said better fitness, better game readiness compared to last preseason. So we'll see how we're coming into the Champions Cup then.
Yeah, and as he's saying about like we want to be this championship caliber team, but we got to go out and show it. We got to be better. He said that like all last season as well, and never really found like we really hit our groove there. So it is, like I said, a little bit concerning that he's like saying that now, but it's the beginning of the season. Like we still have time to kind of figure all of this out. But yeah, I mean, like you're talking about, Champions Cup is this week. I mean, we got to figure some things out now. So we'll see once these guys get kind of put into these high press moments, what does it look like? How's this team going to respond, and how are we going to be able to, come together on the road down in the Dominican and get a result? So, I think that covers really, from our standpoint, the preseason and what we saw. A couple of ties, a couple of wins in games that we, should have won by all means, and we did. And then you get a loss at the very end, which kind of leaves a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth going into the season. But we can quickly make up for it against maybe a little bit of a weaker opponent. So we'll touch on that by the end of the episode. So stay tuned to that. We'll kind of walk through a preview for the O&M match, which is this coming Wednesday. But Sam, the big news coming from this week, we were down at the new kit reveal. We had the Seven Hills kit that came out. Sam, if you want to load up the photos, we finally got this confirmation here. A nice little graphic we see of Robinson, Evander here, and Denkey. About the kit, it's replacing the canvas kit. We'll have the blue traditional one, the legacy one, and then this one. And then the kit, again, as you guys are probably seen it by now, obviously, white and then with the orange kind of down the middle. And then these, you call them like stripes, I guess, down the middle with the different points represents the seven hills of the city. Sam, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, my initial thoughts, I was skeptical at first, as obviously the leak comes out and you're going, oh geez, what is it going to look like? Is it actually going to look exactly like this? And, I have to say, took some convincing from not only, seeing it in person, but also, Ryan being next to me going, hey, it's actually good, so look at this, look at that. And so, in person for sure, it changed my mind. I like it better than the canvas kit. And definitely it could be the best white kit that FC Cincinnati has come out with. The subtle nods to the Seven Hills, whether it be, the staggered stripe or, even the little jersey patch, right, as you see here, in the corner at the bottom, I think left of the kit, if you're wearing it, is pretty cool. So
yeah, no, I like the little touches they put in. So for those, if you look closely, at the authentic ones, on the badge, they have like the stars. We think that may be homage kind of to the US 250th anniversary. No like official confirmation on that yet. The Seven Hills like little graphic in the corner is sick. I love it. The blue and white lines, if you count them, there's 7 there that are total. I think both me and you wanted to see a lot more, different memorabilia out there with the Seven Hills little logo. So maybe we'll see that as the season goes along. But I think, Sam, like you were saying, once you see it in person, once you're wearing it now, and, if you guys are watching, I really like the kit, like as we have gone along. At first, like you're like, is it a faded orange? Is it a solid orange? But no, I really enjoy it. I do like the contrast around like the neckline, and the collar on the side with the sleeves. So yeah, I think there's a lot of people around the league that had also seen this as well. We had some mixed reactions from fans, but if we kind of go to the journalists, the national pundits, ESPN, and I believe it was Ryan Rosenblatt, rated the new kit the 3rd best in the MLS. He said it's creative, balanced, and honestly might be the best design Cincinnati has ever put out, even if it is technically the secondary shirt. I mean, come on, secondary shirt. At this point, every year is like the new one. It's the primary one, right?
Yeah.
And then Nashville writer Ben Wright actually ranked it number 1 in the MLS. We had Goal.com's Tom Hindle, and then Ryan Tomwich said that we actually missed the mark, though. So, and I was seeing from some other people like down in Atlanta that, were kind of putting it at the bottom. But I think once these people see it in person, they're going to come to love it even more. But yeah, I think, Sam, as we've said, we've grown to love it. I think everyone at the kit reveal event also was kind of like more like, hey, I think this is pretty nice. And we actually got to talk to Manu Ledesma a little bit about it. He does like the kit. He said the material was nice, which was funny. There's a lot of little subtle like patterns in the fabric.
Into the white. Yeah. You can really see if you in person, if you zoom in a little bit, you can see it.
Yeah. I think the event, though, for those that got to go, you probably enjoyed it. I mean, it was free food, couple of alcoholic beverages as well. So FCC did a nice job, for the season ticket holders that could make it. There's a few FCC2 players that were there signing autographs. So I think they're looking to do more of this for, the season ticket members in these events. And it was a nice way to get down to the stadium. I know me and you kind of popped out and looked at the pitch. They had the grill lamps on it, but it was ready to go. At the time, there was a ton of snow outside, by the way, before it all melted. But yeah, man, I'm excited to see these guys rocking it. I think we're going to see them wear it the first time down in the Dominican. So
I think the first 2 games, you're going to be seeing them rock this kit, even though, I believe
at home as well.
Yeah, Jeff Birding said, even though, we are playing at TQL, we will be rocking these jerseys, to showcase because they're new, right? And people want to see the new jerseys in person. And of course, it's going to drive probably sales, right?
Sure.
So we'll get to see 2 games in a row, with this jersey.
Yeah, I dig it. Let us know your thoughts. We had some mixed fan reactions with some that basically thought that they just colored in the canvas kit, which I thought was an interesting comment. The bacon kit, that's an all-time comment I've seen as well on multiple different platforms. And then I promise you the kit is better in person, far better than the canvas kit. I think everyone can kind of agree on that by this point. But as we roll into some other FC Cincinnati news, Sam, we got an official Forbes valuation for FCC for this year at $800 million, which ranked 9th in the MLS, 1 short of the Columbus Crew. But it was kind of interesting. We had actually more revenue this past season at $82 million, $2 million more than the Crew did. And I love Sam's comment on this. I tell him this earlier in the week, and he goes, well, the Crew have been around forever, and we're already, that close to them and right behind them. So, yeah, man, I agree. And you add the new district, and I think this is going to really kind of put us over the top.
No, yeah, the news came out, I think the same day as we put out our Fabian Renkel episode last week. So if you haven't checked that out, go check it out now. But to be, 9th in the MLS, obviously there's a lot of big clubs, a lot of big markets out there. And for Cincinnati to be top 10 is pretty cool. Second year in a row, if I'm not mistaken. And so, yeah, the fact that we're 2 million more than, Columbus is 8th, right? You said? And I mean, I think I saw online, Columbus being like, see, like we're worth more than Cincinnati. It's like I said, like you said, right? I was like, I mean, you guys have been around longer. So you would think by now you'd be at least, top 3, but no, you've kind of just stayed stagnant, and, you don't really spend that much. So, and FC Cincinnati has been in the league for what, going on 8 years, 7 years, right?
Well, for MLS, yeah.
Yeah, for MLS, for MLS, I'm saying like pretty good on our end, right? I mean, we're in the top 10 already, and that's even with 3 wooden spoons.
Yeah, I mean, come on. The valuation, though, is based on stadium. It's based on your training facility. It's based on, the revenue you bring in, with your ticket sales, jersey sales, all of that stuff, I would imagine. But I think being in Ohio, that's why we're obviously fairly close with that too. But, I really feel like the revenue is going to drive up here, especially in a World Cup year. I feel like this is a huge opportunity for the club. We hosted, some Club World Cup events last year, so that probably helped a lot with revenue. what can we look like for, club friendlies coming up, maybe some European teams or even, hey, maybe some World Cup type events as well that could drive some things in. So that'll be interesting. But next bit of news, Sam, I broke this one this week. T. Higgins apparently interested in joining the FC Cincinnati ownership group. He came on Overtime, I think around the Super Bowl last week, and he did this interview basically saying, he thinks it's awesome that Cincinnati has such a great, sports culture, and listed out briefly, the Reds, obviously the Bengals, but then he really said he really enjoyed going to the FC Cincinnati match. I think this was in reference to 2023 when he was there. They went out to watch the Open Cup match, I believe, and they were a part of the sword pull. So I'm sure that, we could have T come back and do sword pull again. Maybe that's a glimpse to the future here. But the guy asked him and basically was like, hey, so are you like part owner? And he was like, I wish.
I think it would be awesome if T joined the ownership group. But unfortunately, I mean, it was very, very tough to get the deal done in the first place for the Bengals. So they had to throw a lot of cash at him, which, I mean, he's got the cash, right? So who knows if he wants to stay in Cincinnati long term? I wouldn't doubt it. But I saw some other people that were like, at least have him for the sword pull, right? Based on a comment like that, right? I mean, I think what we've seen,
he's been a part of it.
Yeah, they've
done it by himself.
Sam Hubbard the last time, right? It was like a group effort, I think.
Right.
So I don't know. I will see. I thought that was a funny clip. Definitely always awesome to see, like, another Cincinnati sports team shouting out another, right? Kind of supporting the community.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it only grows the interest, of the team as well. And people see that T likes it and enjoys it, then they're going to come out and hopefully support as well. But Sam, we had a center back rumor, if you want to call it a rumor. Jose Garcia, a 22-year-old left-footed center back from Colombia. This was an article that was put out, or a tweet by Pepe Sierra, I believe, down in Colombia. He put this out basically that FC Cincinnati and another club from Russia was interested in this left-footed center back, a young guy. We've seen young center backs work out from Colombia in the past. This guy plays for Bucaramanga down there, which is a pretty notable club. He just actually joined their side, though, I believe only like a couple months ago. So I don't know how realistic this is. Again, it shows obviously that we have interest. I'm sure we have a ton of interest in a lot of center backs. But a young, 22-year-old and a left-footed center back, I think that's a spot of need for this team.
Yeah, I mean, like you had said, like, I'm sure we're looking at everybody, right? And everybody thinks that we're looking at them, right? Especially when there's no formal offer yet. It's somewhere where we need a little bit more depth in Ryan and I's opinions.
Right.
And so going forward, we'll see if we fill, one of our roster spots with another center back. Who knows if it's going to be Jose Garcia or not. I do know that we have a couple, young center backs right now that deserve a shout. So it would be interesting to see like how this could affect their growth, right? Obviously, because in the past, FC Cincinnati has prioritized experience over youth. So we'll see how this works out. But always love the rumors.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of scratching for anything because for 3 weeks now, we haven't really had anything close to a rumor. There hasn't been any, like, nothing.
No free agent, no nothing. Yeah.
No, nothing. So is it really that, at this point we're just saying, hey, this is the way it is. Let's see how we roll into the season. Clearly Albright is looking and trying to make this team better. Yeah. It's just, we're not pushing the issue. We're not trying to force things. And then we're kind of stuck with the people that we have if we don't have any space or any flexibility. So that makes sense. But we had one final bit of news we wanted to touch on. Sam, if you want to break down what we heard about Leagues Cup for this season.
Yeah, something very minor, but something just to watch out for in the next couple months. Leagues Cup for the first time will be played in the Liga MX venues. So down in Mexico, they will be playing for the first time. So usually in the past, it's just been at MLS venues whenever the Liga MX plays any MLS club. So now, we could see FC Cincinnati potentially traveling during the tournament a little bit more down to Mexico. We may see that again in Champions Cup first, and then you see it later maybe in the season. So just something to look out for, to see, hey, why is this here, or why is that there, or different questions you may have throughout the season. This is why. And so how does it affect the fatigue of our players, right? Is there more rotation than for the Leagues Cup because you have to travel more? There are different variables that come into play here.
I think what's kind of key to put into this is, from what I was hearing, somebody made a good point about this online, that I think we'd have a higher seed though. So if we do, we might have more of a preference, and we'd be able to host the matches instead of going on the road. But there is a potential that, we could go and play down there.
Yeah. Now, as you go further along, like in the competition, there's always, the case for the home and away.
Sure. Yeah. It's just that I think at least the start, we might see that it'll, maybe start at home. What's nice for us is that, hey, we have experience with going down there now. Concacaf Champions Cup a few seasons in a row, traveling, being on the road in the middle of the week, doing that, that definitely helps decide if Leagues Cup, kind of folds into that.
Yeah, I'm down to play in Mexico as long as it's not in Monterrey. I feel like we've been in Monterrey way too many times.
There's already a chance, dude. I mean, if we win the first round, and Tigres just won their round, I think so. It looks like we're probably heading there.
That's what I'm saying for Leagues Cup. Hey, can we
get somewhere else? Yeah. Well, that should be like a rule or something. Like if we've already played there in the season, like we shouldn't have to go and play back down there for Leagues Cup. But we're going to go into our positional breakdown. If you guys missed it last week, we did goalkeepers and defenders. We kind of gave you our predictions for what the squad is going to look like. So go check that out from the past episode. From this week, we're going to do midfielders and forwards. Sam, if you want to break down midfielders that we're expecting to see.
Yeah, so midfielders, just going down the line here, and as we go, we'll just give a little, and then we'll wrap it back up. But Obina and Wobodo, probably a starter there. Pavel Buka, probably a starter there. You see Evander, possible starter there.
Possible starter?
Possible starter there. Who knows, Ryan? I mean, guy was almost an MVP, but who knows? Yeah. Evander would definitely be a starter for us, our number 10. And Samuel Giddy will be in rotation, most likely. Anunga, rotation guy. Dado, rotation guy. And then you see some depth pieces in Steven Jimenez. You have here, Kyle Smith has also played center midfielder, and we broke him down, being able to play either as a center back or, in his primary position out wide as an outside back. And then to cap it off, you have Ademir Chavez, who was recently signed from FCC2. So those are all kind of depth piece guys. But Ryan, as far as the starters go for midfielders, what are your thoughts, initially?
Yeah, so Obi, primed to have, a really good bounce back year. Obviously came off of his quad injury at the end of the season, was a sub, for a few playoff matches, but to have him back and starting is going to be so key for this team. He was kind of that glue guy that we missed, and we had Anunga kind of fill in there. We had Giddy at the end, but he was just young, kind of inexperienced, wasn't really familiar with the rest of the guys. So I think a full season of Obi is just going to be huge, and having him next to Buka as well. But Buka, we know, is a journeyman. He's going to put in a ton of minutes. I hope to see him kind of push forward a little bit. And obviously Evander, poised for a big season as well. I think in big moments is where we really need to see Evander step up in tournament moments and down the stretch as well. So for me, prediction wise, if I had to put, numbers on Evander specifically, I think he's going to go for 15 goals this year and 17 assists. I think, again, this guy's just been year after year being able to just produce, but maybe in a little bit of a different way this season. We saw him score more last year. He's going to assist, I think, a little bit more this season.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, as far as numbers, if I had to throw something out, I think, maybe a little under the goals there. Are you talking like all comps, or are you just going MLS? What do you think?
This is just MLS, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe like 12, 13 range goal-wise for me. I think assist-wise, I think you could see him reach the 20 mark, to be honest. I think it'd be really cool because he has a lot more weapons. I mean, towards the latter half of the season, right, we saw him kind of be really, really good with Brenner, right? And that could have been something this season. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get it done. But I could definitely see, like you said, Buka kind of stepping up a little bit as far as in the goal scoring range.
Boost his goal scoring. Yeah, I think 5 would be a solid number maybe for him, and 5 assists, like maybe getting to 10 goal contributions for Buka would be huge. Giddey even like getting a little bit more as well.
I think Giddey's going to be crucial in unlocking what Evander can do, whether or not he starts or as a sub.
Yeah, that's a good point. We said it kind of, we listed him as a rotational player, but I think he's going to be starting. I think a bold prediction would be maybe by the end of the year, does he force his way, into the midfield somehow, or we have to switch how we're playing and put 4 in the middle there? I don't know. That would be interesting to see. But yeah, the rest of the midfield, I think we could both agree that this is a pretty strong suit of this team down the spine with, having guys that have played solid minutes, other guys like Dado that are pushing 4 minutes, and then having depth pieces like Kyle Smith to be able to fill in as well if we absolutely need it. So I feel like this is a solid spot for the squad. But as we talk about a not so solid spot, the forward room, Sam, is a little bit different.
Yeah, so I mean, we've got some new faces.
A lot of question marks.
Yeah, a lot of question marks to the forward room. Coming in, obviously, Kévin Denkey is going to be the starter. He's going to be there. Right now, not really sure who's going to join him, to be honest with you. Right now, I think Jabari, may be the best shout for a starter there, and Ayoub Jabari. You've got Christian Fletcher that could be either a rotation or a depth piece, depending on his health. But could he be more of a wing that he's used more on the wing rather than, as a 9? And then you've got Tom Barlow as a rotation guy. And then Mboma Dem, probably a depth piece, and Stefan Chirila as a depth piece as well. So, I mean, forward room is kind of thin.
It's a little unproven, especially like we hear all this potential about Fletcher, but he's coming off of ACL. You're not going to expect this guy to come in and produce high numbers. So who does that really fall on? It falls on Barlow. It falls on Jabari because, you obviously expect Denkey to score. So at least for his numbers, I said it last season, I'm going to do it again. 20 goals, I think, is a good line for Denkey, all competitions. And 2 assists. I'm going to put 2 assists for there. If we went MLS, I think 18 goals probably for MLS would be solid for him. And then he'd get 2 in all the other comps. Maybe that's a little low. Like, I feel like he's going to get some easier goals maybe in Champions Cup. But I think Denkey, from what we've seen in the preseason, Sam, is just rearing to have just a solid year. The question just would be, is he going to stay? In the mid-season, does that affect his numbers and what we're projecting here? I think that's important to kind of put out for everyone when we're looking at this. But Barlow, he scores in this past match. He had 3 goals last season. I think a good, number for him, similar to what we had seen maybe with Santos in the past, was about 5 goals roughly.
Yeah.
I think that would be a solid number, but all the goal scoring is then falling just literally on Denkey and on Evander again. So the question marks become like, can Ayoub Jabari score? We just didn't see that last season. I think that he's going to get some goals off of, good service from Brian Ramirez and Ender Echenike. Those guys get down to the end line and Jabari can win balls in the air. Like, that's what we've been missing. It's just a matter of, can he do it? He hasn't been shown to do that in any professional season this far in his career.
Yeah, I think on top of that, Ryan, I think having a full season of Jabari, could it also help out our back line during the free kicks, the corners, different things, right? So that way you now have a big body in Jabari to throw up top, and maybe you see a Nick Hagelin, you see Miles Robinson, maybe Teenage Idebe. They are able to create room now, and maybe they get a couple goals, 2-3 goals throughout the season, and then now you're looking at the free kicks and the corners and going, okay, like FC Cincinnati can be not only dangerous through the middle with Denkey and Evander, but hey, like when they do have those free kick opportunities, hey, look out because they can put the head on the ball, right? Which really haven't shown in the past. So hopefully having bigger bodies, right, kind of helps out.
Well, that was the big thing, I think, honestly, with Brenner next to Denkey. Like, both of them are similar kind of build. Obviously, Denkey's a lot more physical. Brenner drops deep. But I think Jabari, you saw when he came in, and especially against the Crew, like, he just caused so many problems for their back line. So if you can offload Denkey, where Denkey was getting doubled and tripled all last season, and now Jabari can eat some of that and allow for, Miles to send balls long, that's huge for this team to be able to kind of break lines, because last season the other teams were coming right back at us. We had no real outlet, no real, hold up play, and no one saw it honestly since Brandon Vasquez. So can Jabari not be Brandon Vasquez, but can he provide what Brandon did with hold up play like that? And can that unlock Kévin Denkey? Can those two combine? That's the big question. And that's honestly the big question with the forward room. So we'll see what happens this season with that. But Sam, you kind of put in here, I like these little segments here. Who could be added to this group? Potential free agents for both maybe midfield and for the forward room.
Yeah, so just to start off, you got Eric Williamson, center mid, 28 years old. His previous club was Charlotte FC. I believe in the past, we possibly looking at him, as far as a potential transfer in, the trade in between the league teams. And then you get Mark Anthony Kay, a little past his prime, but still has a lot of MLS experience. Another center mid, previously with San Jose Earthquakes, which past couple of years he's kind of been passed around the MLS if you look at his track record. So once again, just a depth piece possibly to have. And then Jailson, a center defensive mid, 30 years old. Previous club was LAFC, could possibly be a good option as well. And then you get Amin Bassi, which I think his name has been thrown out a lot, even I think recently by Tom Bogert, saying like, hey, he's still available if people, want to go out and get him. And
yeah,
he's a kind of a center attacking mid / forward, 28 years old, and was with the Houston Dynamo. And then Ryan, do we just bring back Sergio Santos? Obviously striker / forward, 31 at this point. And, after he left FC Cincinnati, he went to Houston Dynamo. He's been working out. We've seen everything he's putting out. He's staying fit. He's ready to go. Like you said, it would be a similar possible signing to Tom Barlow, where it's like, hey, you'll probably get 5 goals out of this guy, but is it worth the money? But now you could bring him in on a cheaper deal, right? He's not on the deal that he was on previously.
Ideally, yeah, to have to wait. Low contract, I think, but you're taking a senior roster spot, and there's only so many of those left. So it has to be a key, contributor. Is that, bench guy? Is that,
do any of these guys kind of pique your interest at all?
Bassi had potential. I think 2 years ago he had a solid season with Houston. I think it was his first year with them. But he is 28. He's a little bit older, but he's kind of shown it in the league. He's more of like a 10, maybe like a false 9. So I don't know, like he could be an option there, but then I've always really liked Williamson. The question was just how he would recover from his ACL. He played some minutes last year, I believe, with Charlotte. But yeah, I don't think we need to really boost the midfield personally. So I think the forward room is where we're going to kind of look at things in center backs. So that's my personal take on it. But again, the primary transfer window for MLS stays open through March 26th. We've seen the past few seasons where we had like Brad Smith got added late in Kai Kamara. So we'll see as the first part of the season goes through. Are we looking to add someone like this in free agency? Sam, I'm going to give you full credit. If you nail one of these guys, that would be pretty sick. But why don't you roll us into our first trivia question of the week for 2026?
Yeah, absolutely. So trivia question of the week is going to be, what is FC Cincinnati's record in the first match of the MLS season since their first in 2019? So we've got 7 matches, right, since 2019. Ryan, what are we thinking? Just give me thought process before you give me.
Yeah. I think honestly, a lot of our matches have been at home. I remember that. Early on, like MLS, like did well at home. 2019, 2020 is the question mark. So I think honestly, in 7 matches, I'm going to go with 5 wins and 2 losses is what I'm going to put.
5 wins, 2 losses. We'll see if he's right on the other side. Stick with us.
Hey everyone, the Flying Lion podcast is your home for FC Cincinnati coverage as a part of the Chatterbox Sports family. We're proud to be a part of a growing network of creators who are building real connections with fans across the region as the game continues to grow and in preparation for the 2026 FIFA World Cup hosted in America.
Yeah, and if you're a local business or a brand looking to reach an audience that's passionate, loyal, and plugged into the city's sports scene, this is the place.
Partnering with us is not just supporting a podcast. You're joining a community that celebrates FC Cincinnati and various other Cincinnati sports teams as well. So reach out through our email, which is Flying Lion Pod, FLYIN Lion Pod @gmail.com, or direct message us on social media to learn more about sponsorship and partnering options. Thanks again. Thanks again for joining us tonight. This is our 2026 season preview. We're very excited about the season to come. It's all kicking off here, this week on Wednesday. For those traveling down to the Dominican, be safe getting down there. But Sam, we're going to roll into our individual predictions. I think we started this last season. We informally did it like 2 years ago, but last season, I think we actually wrote it out. We were pretty close for those who remember and kind of our true fans and followers. Sam and I both put us at second, I believe, in the East last season, and we nailed that. Sam was a little bit ambitious with his Champions Cup prediction. I'm always going to go back to that. He thought we were going to win Champions Cup. So we'll see what he has to say this season with this one. Not to put you on the spot with that there, but first off, individual predictions, Sam. What do you have for the season, if any?
Yeah, so some individual predictions. So they're going to be, either all-star honors or, award honors, at the end of the season. I think Evander, Miles Robinson, and Roman Celentano will be our all-stars. The one kind of surprise there would be Roman Celentano. I think he balls out. Maybe he really, his save numbers have never really been near the top, but I think clean sheet wise, he could, definitely make a case and possibly go for, the Golden Glove, if you will, goalkeeper of the year. We'll see on that. But my only other honor that I think somebody could be close to would be Evander Echenike. I think he could get Young Player of the Year. So for those who don't know, Young Player of the Year, you have to be under 22, and Echenike is 21. So I think he'll have a decent season. If you kind of go back and watch our breakdown of the wingers and center backs in our previous episode, you'll see kind of the predictions that Ryan and I gave Ender and the expectations kind of for this season. So I think those will be kind of the honors that I'm looking at. Obviously, some other people could be involved. Obviously, Evander, maybe for MVP, could be up there. But I think, if you listen once again last week, Fabian was like, hey, I mean, Evander said it himself, as long as Messi is in this league, I will not be an MVP pretty much. But Ryan, thoughts on mine, and then you can kind of give yours.
Yeah, I like the shout for Celentano for All-Star. Like, he's gotten a lot of notoriety or a lot of praise, from the U.S. men's national team coaches, obviously,
Yep.
and he made the roster there. So on an MLS stage, does he get that recognition? I think I don't think he's ever been an All-Star, so that would be interesting to see. I'm really poised for Ender, man. I love Ender. I think that he could have a huge season. So Young Player of the Year would be really cool for him. He'd have to have a killer year, and I think he can. Honestly, I really do. For me, I think Denkey and Evander are going to be all-stars. That's just kind of a no-brainer. And then Roman for Save of the Year again, like 3-time champ would be like insane to see. And then I guess if I could shout out, I don't know if this counts or not, but could Obi be Comeback Player of the Year?
Probably. I mean, he was injured. So
yeah, he ended the season, but I don't think he played enough to
to warrant, enough caps.
Yeah, but I definitely think that Obi could be a key part of this team. It's just about how do they split him and Giddy, for this year? Does Buka take more time? And do we give him a break too? That'll kind of determine things there. But it's a little bit different for us this season than last. I think, we had high hopes last season. Both me and you thought like Denkey could be, up there for golden boot, top goal scorer. And then obviously Evander, he's been in, the running for MVP. It's interesting that neither of us are really confident that he's going to be there, in the running for that. But there's just so many other big time players that we're seeing stepping in. The thing that I have to kind of remind myself is, for these big time players like Messi, we're already seeing it now, like his injury, if he's injured, if he's not injured, is he going to take time, around the World Cup? We talked to Fabian a little bit about this, but is Son going to take some time as well? And how does that affect his numbers? So Evander not being in the Brazilian national team picture, does that potentially boost his MVP candidacy? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, having a full year of Denkey or not, like if he gets sold mid-season, that's going to kind of change the way we predict things too. So interesting to see there from an individual perspective. I was going to put this on the outline, but I'm going to surprise you here.
Oh boy.
Young player that's going to have a big productive year for FCC. Could you see any of our young guys having a good year?
Like other than Ender.
Other than Ender, yeah. Like obviously you just talked about him, but
so I'll reiterate. Yeah, I'll reiterate what I said last week in Andre Chirila. I think once again, he could be starting by the end of the year in some form or facet, and I think you could really see him really get a lot of minutes, maybe here at the beginning, and then for Leagues Cup, and maybe down the stretch of the season, you really see him rotated into the squad a lot more.
Okay, I like it. For me, I think Ademir Chavez, like by the end of the season, I think he's going to get some solid sub minutes. I think that the dude has so much potential that we're going to struggle to not put him on the pitch. And then, like, he could come in for Ender, as a sub, and we push him more forward. If we're pushing for a goal or something like that. Obviously, he's super young, but he's so raw and he's got a ton of talent. So
if you're Steven Jimenez and you see these young guys starting to get signed a lot more, and if they start to get more minutes, like, how do you feel, right? Like,
I'd be pushing for a loan move.
Yeah. Do you feel kind of passed up a little bit? Do you feel like, hey, like, well, if they're playing this amount now, like 2 years ago, I should have been playing.
Well, and that's a good point, because like Giddy's in the middle and he's only 20, 21. So
21. Yeah.
I mean, where does that leave then Jimenez? He's still young, but he finally got his first MLS minutes last season. At some point this season, are we going to call upon him, for some minutes? Potentially. I don't know. That's a good point though. And seeing all these other guys come up, but a true like for like position, the only one would be necessarily Giddy around his age there, if you want to say that. But as we go to our team competition prediction, Sam, what do you think for the MLS season? Where do you have FC Cincinnati?
I have us third in the East. I think
behind.
Oh boy, I didn't think about that, but yeah, I'm not gonna give a prediction on that. I don't even know who I could like say right now, because I've been so busy deep diving into FC Cincinnati. I'm not. Hey, MLS, all right, is this weekend. All right, give me some time to think about the other squads. I've just been thinking about us.
This is prediction, man.
Yeah, this is prediction for us. What do you mean? I gave you the prediction.
Yeah,
for us.
But the way I put people is based on where I see other people as well, though. So
I think third in the East is reasonable for us, considering last year we got second in the East behind Philly.
And second overall in Supporter Shield, which is crazy. But
I know. So I think this year you look at the roster and talent-wise, we took a step back. And so I think it will kind of reveal it in the standings. Only one spot lower, but Ryan, you have us at 4th?
I do. Yeah, I have us as 4th in the East. It hurts me to say it, but there's just too many questions in center backs. There's too many questions in our striker room to be consistent through a whole season, but I would love for them to go and prove me wrong. Like, Pat's found ways to get results. He's got the most points of any coach in the league over the past 3 seasons. We've found ways to still, like, if we don't have our top choice people, to find ways to win, even if it's not pretty. So 4th in the East, maybe a little bit low, but yeah, I could see, all the way up to 2nd. I don't know if we can win the East with the roster we currently have. Let's just put that way right now. If we add people, and I kind of see, like Sam said, the talent kind of pick up even on paper, but gel on the field even, and start to put together some games where we're just killing people, then maybe I'd put us a little bit higher there, but I just don't have that right now. But from Leagues Cup standpoint, where do you think we're going?
I think quarterfinals. I think we'll make it to the quarterfinals of Leagues Cup. Maybe we'll knock down some League MX squads as we get there. But I think that's about as far as we go, just because maybe it's a youth movement that we kind of roll into a little bit more. Plus, it'll be right after the World Cup, which maybe I can see it going either way, right? Where like we really go into Leagues Cup and we go and win it and want to win it, or considering it's after the World Cup, maybe the big name guys, right, like Miles, could take a step back. You kind of see more rotation during that.
Okay, I see that. For me, that's interesting that you kind of brought that up. It sparked my interest about the timing of when it is. It's starting late July or maybe early August. For me, I think a semifinal or final is huge. Like I think this team needs to push for at least one final to say it's a solid year, to at least be in a final like we've talked about. So I think the timing, like you said, is huge. There's a lot of teams where players are going to be coming off the World Cup. We'll have a month break maybe to get healthy through that time. Not a ton of our guys are going to be involved with that. So we can still kind of come together and figure out our plan for this tournament. And I think that would bode well for us. The question is, again, is Denkey staying? Is this team healthy? Do we have center backs that we can trust and rely upon? That's going to be the question the whole season. But in this tournament, I think we go for it. I think they really just say, we're in a little bit of a hangover from the World Cup per se, in the U.S., but FC Cincinnati kind of shines us out of that hangover and gets us to a final at least. So that would be my hope with that. But as we roll to Concacaf Champions Cup, what are your predictions?
I've got us in the quarterfinals. So took a step back from last year and was like, you know what? I think quarterfinals, right? Obviously, okay. I think you'll bring up the fact that we got to go through another Liga MX squad to possibly get to the quarterfinals. But I do think getting to the quarterfinals of a CONCACAF Champions Cup, just each year in this tournament, getting slightly better in each way, learning more and more about how to just adjust with the scheduling. And yeah, I think quarterfinals is, hopefully we'll get over the hump as you're about to talk about.
Yeah, because mine is that we are going to exit again at the hand of Tigres. It's just where we're at right now, and the fact that Liga MX has already rolled into their season, and we are going to be playing, maybe 3 matches before 4 matches, before we would play them. And there's just too many questions for me right now. Like, obviously, as we're recording February 15th, but compared to last season, Sam, there's got to be a little bit more optimism that a lot of the same guys have returned. Last season, you predicted that we would go to the final, and we didn't even know who our number 10 was at the time. But we have, returning 10 out of 11 starters from the past season. So, on paper, that should say, hey, technically we've had this experience. Like you said, we've done this before. We've known how to kind of manage these competitions. Let's go and do it. It's just, I think Tigres has got too much talent, and we just don't have the depth on paper. Who are we going to bring in off the bench if we're down a goal, down in Monterrey? Like Tom Barlow, I don't know. Maybe he goes and has a worldie or something, but I just don't see it right now. I would, again, love to be wrong about that. But if we do, Sam, and we make a quarterfinal, what is key for you? Is it more that, hey, we're trying to get results and look good by the way we're playing in MLS matches between CONCACAF Champions Cup, or how do we kind of move forward past Tigres?
I think the way you move past Tigres is exactly what we saw last season, and it's not running out of gas. And
True.
taking Pat's words, that he's kind of talked about all preseason, he's saying that everybody's the fittest he's seen, right? And you got to kind of trust his thoughts and his judgment there, as far as the physicality of the players. And that was something that he talked about at the end of Champions Cup last season when we got knocked out was, hey, like we weren't as good. We ran out of gas clearly in the second half, in that game against Tigres, and they were the better team. So hopefully this year I'm kind of banking on us having a lot more physicality, right? Being able to withstand the pace of the Liga MX squads, as well as the physicality, right? Because we know some of them like to get down and dirty. So, I mean, who knows?
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I like it as we kind of roll into this competition, what this looks like. Again, our third season that we're playing in the Concacaf Champions Cup tournament will run, or already is running, from February 3rd to May 30th. Round one, as we're looking at it, is going to go through this first part of February. Round of 16 a little bit later, about middle of March. Quarterfinals, April, about mid-April there. And then semis a little bit later on towards the beginning of May. And then the final would be set on May 30th. So very much like all right before World Cup and the big break that we have. So do we prioritize one or the other? I think it's just dependent on how we're kind of doing in each one. Take it round by round, take it match by match, and that's the Pat Noonan way. But in our first matchup here, I'm excited, Sam. Let's talk ball. We're back. We're talking our first match here. O&M FC, based down in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, this Wednesday, February 16th, 8 p.m. on FS2 probably. So tune in for that one. It's going to be exciting to have everyone again together watching this.
Ryan, we gonna do anything special for it?
Yeah, we'll have a reaction video after, so we'll be giving you our instant thoughts on this. This match, Sam, was originally scheduled to be played in the Estadio Olímpico, which is their normal home. It's the Dominican Republic National Team Stadium, 27,000 people, but they were like, nah, there's a conflict. We got to go 2 hours away now, and they're playing at the Estadio Cebeo Football Club. So interesting that we're going to have to go up into the mountains a little bit to play for this one. How will that affect fitness? I don't know. We'll see. But O&M FC have not won a match since December 17th of 2025. Their season's been going on since August. So interesting. They're not doing so well right now. They should be very much like Motagua was last year. But again, we can't look by anyone in these competitions. We're going to play on some weird surfaces, some different travel, things going on as well. So, Sam, what are we looking like for lineup wise for this?
That's a great question. And I think ultimately you got to go back to what you may have seen in the last preseason match, right? Okay. I think ultimately that's what you're going to possibly see more of. A little bit, slightly rotated with the majority of, the starters. I think you could see Tom Barlow probably get a start up top. I think Tom Barlow got a start up top with Denkey in the first preseason match and the last one. So I think that's a very rare case in where, Pat Noonan chose the same, two up front this preseason. So obviously Pat's got some confidence maybe in Tom to help out Denkey up top, maybe a little bit more than Jabari at first. So
preface that Jabari got hurt too.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah. So that is also a factor, coming into the season. But yeah, as far as lineup wise, we saw an interesting, even starting lineup last year with Noah Adnan starting in, the first Champions Cup game. So Ryan, I mean, any young guys
now? Can I run you down our game last season? We had Celentano in goal, Engel, Powell, Robinson, Adnan, Yedlin, and then we had Kubo there, Obi, Buka, Baird, and Denkey. So it was an interesting group, a little bit of a mixture of people. Maybe we're a little bit healthier, at this point in this preseason. So for me, I kind of put in our outline here that I think maybe you see probably Flores start, maybe Nick Hagelin and Miles Robinson, but could you see maybe Andre Chirila, start in this match, or maybe the second one? And then, do we have Ramirez probably an Ender? Is it maybe Giddy in the middle instead of Obi?
I know we had talked about like the formation that they possibly came out with in I think the third matchup against Detroit, which it was the Buka, Giddy, and Obi in the middle there with Evander and Denkey, right? So that could possibly be a shout as well.
Yeah, I just think that you have to do a mixture because you're playing Wednesday, Saturday. You're traveling. There's a lot of factors with that. You want your guys to kind of get real competition, but you don't want to overdo it, especially in a pitch that may not be the greatest. You don't want anyone to get injured down there too. Again, for me, prediction-wise, 3-0 victory. We're going to take care of business down there. You never know how it's going to go. I feel like it's going to be like a 0-0, first half, and then we're going to, kind of score as we go along in the second, as we get more comfortable. But prediction wise for you?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 4-0. Just based, I was gonna agree with you. But I think 4-0 just based off of the recent form of O&M FC, right? They have not won a
big O&M FC follower over here.
Well, I did my research, right? I looked at our opponent beforehand. Is that what we're not supposed to do? Are we supposed to do that, Ryan? Come on now. But yeah, I think 4-0, obviously, it's a lot of goals, especially with a team that has not scored practically any goals this preseason. But as you saw last season against Motagua, I think they come out firing. I think Evander wants to showcase, hey, just like last season, I'm here. I'm ready to go. And what did Buka have a brace in that game, that first game, right?
I feel like you did. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, so Buka came out hot in that one. I just think the vibes down there, right? You're in the Dominican, so maybe they're going to be having a good time. So 4-0, we'll see. Obviously, both of us have clean sheets, so Roman's in the back there, getting big and tall. So I don't know.
Let's hope for a good start. I like this this preview for this match. The next match against them would be the following Wednesday, I believe, back at home at TQL. So this, again, in this competition, it's going to be home and away legs, and best kind of score on those kind of moves on with that. So if we get off to a good start in 3 or 4-0 victories, it sets us up well for the second match to maybe play some youngsters like we saw in last year's second leg against Motagua. So Sam, match day number 1, let's preview it against Atlanta United. This is back again at TQL. 4:45 start on a Saturday, Apple TV, or check it out on Fox. We're back at home again to start the season. I love to see that. I think, maybe the MLB should take notes of what MLS is doing and have Cincinnati start at home all the time. I love that. We unfortunately last beat Atlanta, though, Sam, back in 2024. Last season was not great for us. We tied them at home, and then we lost to them on the road. That was on Memorial Day, if you remember. That was awful. I hated that match. That was the Nick Hagelin broken rib match and punctured lung. But maybe Nick gets some, do you think he gets some revenge in this match, Sam? I don't know. We'll see. But for how bad Atlanta was last year, I was just a little surprised. Like we didn't take care of business against them. I think we'll kind of come out a little bit stronger. They have their new/old manager, Tata Martino, is back for his second stint at Atlanta. He actually won MLS Cup with them in 2018. So we'll see what this kind of new look Atlanta looks like. We joked about it all last year, but it was like, oh, Atlanta is going to be so good. And they brought in Latte Loft and Miguel Almiron, and then they were horrible. They almost had, wooden spoon season. But interesting to see, their offseason. And everyone thought there was going to be some buyouts and some moves in their roster. They have a lot of the same players minus a few people, Sam.
Yeah, a couple of people just notable, additions, subtractions. Tomas Jacob, a promising center back, was their biggest purchase this offseason, 21 years old for $4.3 million. So you'll see him probably in the starting lineup there. And then a big subtraction here, which a guy who FC Cincinnati had, we had been calling for possibly, once again, inter-squad or interleague trading. Brooks Lennon, right back, still a free agent, I believe.
I think, is he being picked up by Atlanta again? I saw somewhere that he might.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I just, the recent transfer market says he's still a free agent, right?
Okay.
So I'm going based off of my reliable source. And then the other subtraction that you saw in the goalkeeper room in Brad Guzan, he retired from goalkeeping. So they've got a new guy in between the sticks for them as far as starting day to day. And then today they claimed Fafa Picault today. So center back, right, as well?
No, he's a winger. So Fafa Picault was with Miami last season and then Vancouver the season before. He's like 33 or 34.
I was going to say he's older, yeah.
Like that. He's a little bit older, but he's had like decent seasons the past two. I think the biggest addition for them, Sam, is just that they got Tata Martino back. Like the dude's been successful, anywhere he's been. Yeah. So he doesn't change a lot of the roster, or not a lot of the roster has changed, I should say. But I think maybe his system might bode well, for the people that they have. Not against FC Cincinnati, though, to start the season. I don't think they're going to have it together. They actually have a few injuries. If we go and look at it, I think Moranchuk was day-to-day as we've kind of looked at it. They're kind of winger number 10. And Latte Loth has a knock, but he did play about 4 days ago as well. So they'll have a pretty solid squad to start. It's just, again, can they kind of put it together? That was the big question mark even last season. But we struggled against them last season. So let's hope that this year we can start out on a good foot. Lineup-wise, I think we can universally agree here. Our starting lineup for FC Cincinnati MLS season got to be Robin Celentano in the sticks. We got Ender. Sam's rolling out Nick Hagelin here with Miles Robinson, Hidebe, Ramirez, Obi, Buka, Evander, Denkey, and then I believe you had put in Barlow. And I'm going to kind of say it's either going to be Barlow or Jabari probably for one of the matches, and then subsequently the other is going to take the other. So if you want to go maybe Barlow on Wednesday, then Jabari on Saturday, or vice versa.
Yeah, obviously, like if the other one scores a brace, though, I think you got to go with the hot hand. But
true.
But yeah, for the most part, obviously, it's kind of a toss-up in that regard. If you're expecting FC Cincinnati to come out with the same formation, in which all signs point towards Pat Noonan not changing anything, right. So we'll see. With Nick Hagelin in the back line, I think you see him over a guy like Flores. Miazga's not healthy yet, which. Some news on him from Laurel we didn't touch on, like probably not going to be in the lineup for probably the next 3 to a month, I'd guess.
Well, he's back fully training with the first team. Now the question is he game fit and game ready?
Exactly,
so, to Sam's point, it's probably pushing about a month then.
Yeah, so you won't see him in the back line. So I think Hagelin starting MLS Matchday 1 against Atlanta is probably the better shout.
Getting revenge against Atlanta, by the way.
That, and you want to see the Cincinnati kid in the Cincinnati kit in TQL Stadium, right? So once again, I think from a marketing perspective all the time. So having him on the pitch as a starter is always something fans want to see.
When's the last time Nick Hagelin started a match, the first game of the season?
Like 3 years ago.
I think you're right. The past 2 seasons, he's been dealing with these injuries. So
if you wanted to come up with a trivia question of the week, why didn't you just say?
I thought of it right now, actually. I remember Nick doing an interview and was like, "Man, I'm happy just to step foot on."
Yeah, I'm happy just to be on the field at the beginning of the season. Yeah.
So I think he's happy just to be healthy and available. So I think Hagelin gets his revenge against Atlanta. He's going to come out strong.
Give it
a header goal.
Give it an elbow?
I don't know about an elbow. Nick's not that dirty. Maybe somebody else on the team throws an elbow. A little revenge from before. But
Obi, hey, Obi, take this guy out.
Obi's first MLS game back starting, just full cleats into. Who was it? Was it? Do you remember who it was? Was it Latte Loth or?
I think it was.
Somebody threw a bow at him.
Yeah, I think it was Latte Loth because it was a big deal for us because it was like, hey. Your $20 million hands just put Nick Hagelin in the hospital.
Yeah, that wasn't cool. I don't like thinking about that moment. But prediction wise, Sam, what are you thinking for this first match at home?
I'm thinking 2-0. And here's my reasoning behind it. I think, if let's say Atlanta scores first, right? I think this could become a chaotic and dangerous game. But ultimately, if Cincinnati scores first, which is, all signs point to them having a better quality starting lineup and squad, I think this is a more controlled win for FC Cincinnati. Maybe we get an extra goal late. So structure, over, the lack thereof, if you will.
That's interesting. I think 2-0 would be awesome. I would love, a clean sheet to start the season. Based on what we've seen, I think it's just a 1-goal victory, and I'll still take it. It's 3 points. It's at home. It's to start the season. Like, we got to start off strong. And having back-to-back match day, like a Wednesday, Saturday, getting positive results and 6 points out of the week would be huge for us. So, grit it out by any way you can. If I had to put a goal score on it, I'm going to go with Denkey again. He scores 1-0 victory last year against Red Bulls at home. I feel like Denkey is going to start out strong this season based on what we've seen. So I'm going to lock it in. 1-0 victory for me.
Yeah, good shout there. I mean, we're getting clean sheets, right? Maybe.
Do you think any shouts for a sword pull?
Ooh, first match of the season. Yeah, I think we had that.
Any new traditions for TQL on game day, you think? Or I think we're probably going to roll out a lot of the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's the beginning of the season, so I wouldn't expect too much from FC Cincinnati as far as newness, right? Usually you get that more towards the summer when fans are more interactive and don't want to be want to be outside more, right, in the summer.
Might be a nice day, though, on Saturday.
We'll see.
or it could be snowing.
I know. It's the Midwest. It changes every day, right? But yeah, I think sword pull.
Can I put one out if you want to think?
Yeah, go ahead. Give me some time.
Rose Lavelle is training in Cincinnati. I saw a post. She's in Cincinnati now. She's training over in Milford. Rose Lavelle is going to be my shout out for a sword pull for this one.
Okay. Just because of the relevancy, I'm gonna go T. Higgins.
Okay, they bring him in right away. They say
I think they bring him in right away. I think they hop on the relevancy of the clip because if nobody saw, FC Cincinnati commented on our clip and liked it, so they know, right? Admin sees it.
I'm sure. I'm sure T is definitely. I think he would love to do it. I really do. I really think he would love to do it. We didn't touch on it as well, but TIFO wise, I think for this one, if I had to say, it's going to be some sort of 7 hills.
Yeah.
It might be, a couple of stacked hills or something like that. And maybe on each hill is one of the players or something like that. So that'd be my shout out for TIFO. Yeah,
I think so. I think the worry in my mind is that it looks too mountainous, right? I'm like,
it's not really a hill; it's more of a mountain.
Yeah, I could potentially see it almost over exaggerated, where it's silhouettes of 3 players together, and then behind them are mountains, hills, right? Okay. So that could, and it's it's I don't know, 7 hills with us, or I don't. I haven't had time to think about it, but.
The Forge Cincy is going to have something creative and awesome up there.
And it's going to be beautiful as always.
It's going to be hopefully a great experience for match day 1 and hopefully a good week for FC Cincinnati with 2 solid wins. But before we go, Sam, give us our trivia question again and our answer for the week.
Yeah. So once again, what is FC Cincinnati's record in the first match of the MLS season since their first in 2019? Ryan, if you want to remind the people what your
I had 5 wins and 2 losses was my prediction.
5 wins, 2 losses, and Ryan, it was 2, 3, and 2. So you had 2 wins, 3 losses, 2 draws. FC Cincinnati has not been good at all to start the year. So let me run you down year by year. So the first 3 years were probably really bad. 2019, obviously the loss to Seattle 4-1. And then the year after that, you get a 3-2 loss to New York Red Bulls. Year after that, in 2021, is a draw 2-2 against Nashville. And then the year after that is the 5-0 loss to Austin in 2022. And then 2023, you get a win finally, 2-1 against Houston. And then 2024 is the draw against Toronto, 0-0. And then last year, 1-0 win against New York Red Bulls.
I don't know what I was thinking, but maybe it just had a recency like, oh, we just won. We beat Houston before as well. And then I was like, oh, and where I lost it was the first year of the MLS. I thought our first game was against Portland at home, but it was on the road against Seattle. So that's where I think I got mixed up.
Well, the nostalgia, right? You want to go towards the win, right?
Oh,
and you were like, oh, the win in Portland, duh. Like that was, of course, that was
against Portland at home.
No, I know that's what, but like first win in MLS, right? You're like, my brain wants to think about that, not about, oh, we scored first in Seattle and then gave up 4 goals. So kudos to your brain to like blocking that out. But Ryan, I got a stat for you that you kind of mentioned a little earlier in this episode. Since 2023, FC Cincinnati's first MLS match has been at TQL Stadium. The 4 matches before that were all away.
Okay. So, I mean, they're changing it over to us hosting.
So this is the 4th straight year. So it's been 4 away years in a row, 4 home in a row. Okay. We'll see what it is next year. Yeah, I'm excited. Again, FC Cincinnati's back. The MLS is back. We're ready. We're ready to go for this 2026 season. It's going to be a fun ride, between all the competitions, between the World Cup. We're going to be here for it all. Thank you again for joining us tonight for our season preview. And we'll see you guys next time, hopefully with 6 points under our belt.